Hi and welcome to a very shaky homemade video coming from the depths of Leicestershire. My name's Kat Howard and I wanted to talk to you for hopefully within 7 minutes with as little as possible about Order from Chaos. So working walls and classroom climate, how to get your classroom working for you, but ultimately as well obviously your students. So you've won at least half the battle. Obviously I'm hoping that that nobody's classroom looks like the apocalyptic second photo, but I wanted to talk about how you've won at least half the battle. So if your classroom climate is both inspiring but also practical, an extension of your own teaching, then I think it makes your life ultimately a lot easier, and a lot easier for the students to kind of put the context, put the why into effect as well. The classroom is where the magic happens, so we should be able to, we're lucky enough to create that classroom culture and have the luxury and the privilege to create that classroom culture. So I think using that very much to your advantage at the moment, and with what we have, that we're building more independence within our students. So they're seeking out the answers for themselves. So first up, I wanted to put an excuse in here to show off my wall. So this is my unstuck wall. It was actually inspired by several teachers on Twitter, where it's essentially a series of generic tools that students can use with both reading and writing and developing their analysis. But there's several tools on there that they can get up and use in the same way that they would a dictionary or a thesaurus. So it, as well as obviously scaffolding for the task itself, there are also what we call aim higher specific tools, so to get students thinking about what they need to do to develop to a more developed, more sophisticated level of writing or reading analysis. So obviously you can use that here, use the wall to use as a constant reference for assessment, scaffolds that can be used across a variety of units and variety of tasks, a visual impact that students will use as an active resource, and student involvement to create and maintain those resources. I did a lot of student voice in order to ascertain what students wanted from that wall. As a result, they were asking for, my kind of top set level 9 were, we want to know what a higher attainment piece looks like. We want to know GCSE materials, and responded to that, and then some of the students would actually make resources for that as a result. I also have a working wall as far as homework is concerned. So people that follow me on Twitter, you may have obviously, and Teacher Toolkit is a big fan of takeaway homework. So the termed homework is displayed for each of the year groups along with the marking key. So again, this is kind of to try and save you time. I use a series of coloured stickers, and then they know what the sticker relates to, and as far as my expectations and my feedback with regards to their homework. So we kind of have a homework corner. By displaying the homework, it gets them to look ahead. So year 7 are then looking at the later years to see what they'll be doing, but also gets a lot of discussions going with regards to who's going to do what task, how they're going to approach it, possible tasks that they might be able to create beyond the ones that I've set. I've asked them to be creative, and if they come up with a different task, then by all means they're welcome to do so, as long as the challenge provided is to the same standard or exceeds the standard of my tasks. So I find that it gets quite a lot of conversation and students' excitement around that. So yeah, students can look ahead and think long term and understand my expectations from them. I essentially think that by creating this climate that is proactive rather than reactive learning, the students have, over a period of time, become accustomed to creating their own tasks, their own help tools, and we will essentially keep, if somebody makes, for example, a resource revision tool for homework, we think it works particularly well, then it will become part of the display, part of the help board on there. I was also inspired by Kerry Tate and Mr. Ferguson to create several tasks that kind of as an extension of the learning. I don't want to call them extension tasks because I will tend to use them as plenary tasks, but just a collection of tasks that that the students can then use in relation to what it is that we have done. And again, they have come up with some of those tasks as well, so it's about giving that ownership back. We also have scattered around the room, I have a word wall, which is my new vocabulary. Students are now completely familiar with, in the habit to get up and grab a post-it note when we're reading if they don't know a word, put it on there, stick it on the word wall. Student voice and suggestion has very much been the foundation of the working walls in my classroom. You know, the easiest way to figure out what's going to be the most useful is to get that feedback from the students. And I think that sometimes we, as teachers, fall into the habit that we know better than they do. But, you know, even the, and why I put that down at the bottom about bringing it to life and using it to link to the why is even when Year 7 first came in, and I did some student voice with them as they started their secondary education. They said they needed to, you know, as we all appreciate, they needed to understand the reason behind it, the real life context behind it. So by providing kind of what the future looks like, I think that you help to do that, you help to achieve that, and talking about GCSE quite openly with Key Stage 3 students. Developing a love of the subject. My room is a vomit of English. There are poetry books in with the reading books. We have a recommended reading corner that the students add to. It is very much about that's kind of the reason that I call it order from chaos, because I think essentially you are if you walked into my room, there is a method to my madness, but it very much looks like madness. Be excited, encourage extras, so encourage the students to take an extra role within your classroom to, you know, to kind of put that their stamp on your room, that it isn't just your classroom and your territory. We also have, like I said before, we have the reading corner and the word wall. We also have word challenges, so Scrabble, that I'm trying to remember who shared it a while ago, is a regular feature within our room, but the children will also come up with regular word challenges as well. And we also follow Word a Day on Twitter and use that to centre discussions around as well. So it really is, you know, trying to create that kind of multifaceted role to your classroom, all in all. You don't need shiny things. So all in all, I just wanted to kind of sum up what a splurge of your stamp and the student stamp can look like on your classroom. If you have any questions about the very, very hurried manner of my presentation, then by all means get in touch on Twitter or otherwise. Thank you.